more than those.
And I tell you what, Nick, these Scottish boys, especially up front, these Scottish boys have been told for the last week repeatedly they're going to get filled in today, they're going to get beaten up. And I tell you what, as a rugby player, there is no better place to be than there. What a challenge.
And look at this place. Christoph Ridley with the whistle. And on a Sunday afternoon, it is South Africa and Scotland in the change strip today. In those kind of powdery blue and white shirts. South Africa, well, you know what colour they're wearing.
Yes, 9.
First chance this autumn to have a look at Ben White. He's back for Ali Price. Kept in Toulon last weekend, but he's back, Russell's back. Scott Cummings is still there, though, the big Glasgow rod of iron. And Bongi Mbonambi chugs it up towards halfway. This is Yetzebeth.
Just hold in front, hold in front.
And the first kick from Pollard. It's aimed towards Kane and Moody, and Moody does well, helping to deflect it backwards into the arms of Andre Esterhuizen. Hendricks of the scrum half doesn't get it all his own way, but he eventually gets the ball, and Etzebeth helping it go a little bit further one, and then a huge wahe from Pollard to this man, Makazole Mapimpi. He's a proper ice skater when he gets going, as England will attest. Try scorer in a World Cup final not so long ago. And then Pollard, this time looking for some Edinburgh grass, but that's really nicely taken by Duan van der Merwe. And South Africa's first bank of questions safely answered by Scotland.
Well, actually, those kicks, Andre Pollard really forced into them. South Africa trucking big boys in with a run-up, heavy carriers, moving the ball wide. Scotland, yes, it's early days. Scotland dealing with it really nicely, flying off the line, really aggressive in the contact. So far, so good defensively for the Scots.
Yeah, I think it's a real confidence builder. Steve Tandy will be delighted, and particularly off touchlines. We saw Matt Fagerson just bringing that line speed. You've got less to guess about when you're defending off touchlines, because there's only one way that the Springboks can go. Scotland will be really pleased with that start. Good timing on insert.
South Africa already lost a couple of line-outs in the Rugby Championship. It's not a holy bucket, that line-out. They normally get it back because of people like Etzebeth. Jaden Hendrickson, only back who started the last test in the Rugby Championship against Argentina, who starts today. Oh, and it's hard work over the ball from Xander Fagerson. He's made a right mess of that. But South Africa through Ox and Che just about sort it out. Despite the heavy appeals of Ewan Ashman. It's I think it's Jack Dempsey who is picked out by Christoph Ridley for not working hard enough rolling away.
Just thought then it all got a bit scrappy, didn't it? Xander Fagerson, brilliant counter-ruck, really good aggression. He doesn't actually hit the 9. He goes into attacks Van Staden, largely supports his own body weight. But in there, once it got scrappy, was a carry from Jebben Etzebeth, in which he had absolutely no right to make the 3 or 4 metres that he made, which rescued the Boks, frankly.
Sign of intent as well here. That was kickable for Pollard. They go for the corner instead.
Bongi Mbonambi nabbed the first try against the All Blacks in Johannesburg at the end of August from a moment like this. South Africa, like so many test sides, very tough to stop. However, Pierre Schoeman's got himself in a handy position. Oh, it's a penalty, however, against Schoeman. And South Africa, therefore, with free ball, they can give this a go. And Esterhuizen helping to deliver it to the left-hand side, where Mapimpi drives over. He needs very little room, and Scotland gave him far too much.
Well, you name-checked him, Nick, as a World Cup final try scorer. Makazole Mapimpi on this occasion. He'll score tougher tries than this one, but it was a free hit. Lovely change there from Esterhuizen out the back to Pollard. Pollard on the money. Mapimpi's waiting underneath it, and it proved too much for Tom Jordan to get across and cover. Mapimpi could have tucked under his left, instead tucks under his right, drives that right shoulder into Tom Jordan. and shrugs him off to dive in the corner. Big statement by South Africa, and they come up with 5-pointer.
Oh, the quality, the accuracy of the kick from Pollard as well. It would have been nothing without that. South Africa in double quick time, getting the ball from the right side of the pitch to the left side. Now Pollard with a little bit more time to size up the conversion. It wasn't quite so pretty.
Rory, you say that Makazole Mapimpi will score tougher tries than that. I wouldn't disagree, and it was a great kick from Pollard, of course. But was that a bit too easy? And it's not like they had massive numbers. It just looked like the Scottish defence left themselves way too much work to do, too narrow.
Yeah, Tom Jordan, last man. It's his tackle to make. He was obviously held enough on the inside, Makazole, but at the same time he was in a position to make that tackle. He hit, he didn't quite stick. Makazole Mapimpi, so difficult to stop from that position. Important Scotland now respond.
Makazole with a couple of tries in South Africa's last win here 3 years ago. He's got a very early one here, less than 5 minutes. Mbonambi providing a heavyweight bridge. And Hendricks is clearing kick. Russell did well. It was a busy old airway.
Stay up.
And
Not balanced, and then off feet.
South Africa conceding the penalty. I think it was Yetzebeth that he's picked out. Tom Jordan, by the way, at fullback, first test start, and he's never started for Glasgow, his club, at fullback.
Yeah, it's a big ask. I don't think this would have been a selection that would have come if he hadn't come on last week against Fiji in that position, and he shone very brightly in that. He became a second receiver. He was comfortable at the back, and he's a tough cookie. He's a tough kid, and he showed that last week. And you need tough people to come up against this. I think obviously Gregor Townsend chosen to put Blair Kinghorn in the wing.
Well, positively, Tom Jordan was excellent when he came on a right old menace against Fiji.
Up you get, lads, thank you. Not now. No.
He's done.
Up you get, thank you.
Good work.
South Africa shortening their line out here, so you can be absolutely sure that some big heavy chuggers in midfield will get this ball fairly shortly and test Scottish armour. Going to win the ball first, however, and Scott Cummings made sure that Grant Gilchrist made sure that wasn't easy. Loose ball, Springbok ball. Elric Lowe flings it away. That's been lost.
Some knock-on advantage, 9. Advantage over.
Willie le Roux. Here's the other winger, Canan Moodie. Just the second test of his year ahead of Cheslin Colby. Hendricks happy to fire it as far as he possibly can.
It's a cracking kick, that. From a fellow scrum half. Rory, would you agree with that?
Yeah, great
shot.
And the whole dynamic now with the law changes, Flats, has changed the dynamic for scrum halves. You're not allowed the blockers, you get less time at the base, you end up getting more pressure from these behemoths around the side, and that's a great outcome for the Springboks.
Tuipulotu, first time head down into South African defence. Fagerson. White. Russell. There's Daan van der Merwe. Spent the latter part of last week against Fiji regaining his Scotland try-scoring record, but very little opportunity there to add to it.
It was actually a really nice bit of phase play from Scotland, a really good carry back against the grain from Xander Ferguson. He's had a couple of big carries already. Of course, no scrums in his legs yet. He's nice and fresh. He's brand new at the moment. That pass from Finn Russell looked lovely. Had enough air on it that van der Merwe just had to check himself, had to step back inside. And who did he meet? Dorman, head Dorman.
It's a little overcomplicated, and Ashwin, happily for Scotland, can find Dempsey, and Dempsey, oh, then between the legs from Hugh Jones. What magic. What is Scotland up to in midfield at the moment? The quality of the passes that we saw last week, and then that from Jones. What will it lead to? The two second rows combining, Gilchrist and Cummings, to release van der Merwe. Ripped up by Fagerson. White, Tui Pelotu, and Jones takes a couple of tacklers with him.
The first clearer tripped over the tackler.
Elric Lowe.
The first clearer tripped over the tackler.
And there's our confidence builder there. Elric Lowe penalised at the breakdown. Scotland just finding their flow, and you know, against this aggressive Springbok defence, you've got to maximise every possession, and sometimes you've got to push the paper. Sometimes you've got to take a bit of a gamble and throw passes that otherwise you may not, and we saw one in there. The ball bounced on a few occasions, not going to hand. Look at this from Finn Russell here, not quite in front of Hugh Jones, but Pimpy's bitten in thinking, oh, he can't throw that.
Yes.
Instead, Hugh Jones through the legs to Blair Kinghorn. Some brilliant stuff.
How good.
Time off.
Now, what's going on
Okay,
here?
so you're going to show me a croc roll by Scotland number 5.
Timo is in Tempest.
Ready when you are.
Well, Jebben Etzebeth walked over and said to the ref, can you have a look at a croc roll, 2 breakdowns ago.
Christoph Ridley, first time he's refereed Scotland.
It is coming now, mate.
Thank
He
you.
did South Africa in Argentina in the Rugby Championship. Here it is. Is that against Rory Darge?
I'm going to play the angle, Christoph.
He's got a player, Mostert's got a player hitting him from both sides. Doesn't look nice on his
Okay,
knee, but I don't
pulls,
think it's
and
a
he
croc
lands
roll.
on the lower limb, so it is foul play, and it meets the yellow card threshold for me. Are we in agreement with that? So we have a decision. It is foul play because he lands on the lower limb, so it's a croc roll, and it meets the yellow card threshold, so he's going to the sin bin.
Well, that referee's mic that booms around vast stadiums like Murrayfield these
Can I have a
days,
mark for the penalty, please?
helping the 67,000 inside understand what the decision was for, but there's a bit of confusion
Just confirm
as
the
to
number,
who
please,
it's for.
Tempo, that's going
I think it was Rory Darge.
number 5.
Oh, it's gone against Scott Cummings. I felt that if there was going to be one of the two flats, I don't know what your thoughts are, but I thought it was going to be Rory Darge.
The lower limb impact I saw, that's not allowed to happen. Got to protect people's knees, I get that. I didn't see necessarily a croc roll. Mostert seemed almost to head straight backwards. And if anyone hit a lower limb, it was number 7, Rory Darge. Like you, I remain confused by that one. I think they got the wrong guy. So does he.
Yeah, I think he'd be launching an appeal if he couldn't. He could, but he can't, and off he goes for 10 minutes, and Scotland down to 14, and Etzebeth and South Africa will look to find holes where they might be. Esterhazen's hands have been very swift early on. Here's Moody. Jaden Hendrickse. Crocker Smith.
Away now.
Wonderful battle over the ball by the 8. Dempsey on Smith. Pollard, Billy LaRue,
Onside.
and just slams a little one below the radar.
It's interesting watching Scotland defend so far. They seem to be alternating between what you might call a blitz defence, flying off the line, trying to take all the space away. Then the call changes and they're more passive. You fly up and you fly up. Yes, it's aggressive, but the attack, an attack as good as South Africa's, with players as good as Handré Pollard, will work out ways to deal with that. It appears to be what you might call a hybrid system, Rory, bit of both.
Yeah, I think for me, it's a case of you get the line speed first and then you assess. I think what maybe we saw yesterday, England against Australia, is this blitz defence mindset, even when it's maybe not on. I think as a good defender, I think you make decisions on the go, and I think that's what we're seeing a little bit from Scotland, particularly off touchlines. You can afford to blitz that little bit more because you've got less threat on two sides,
Collapsing
and
the lifter.
we're seeing that from Scotland,
You
and
can
the
collapse
tackles
ball
so
carrier, but not
far
the lifter.
have stuck.
You can collapse ball carrier, but not the lifter.
Explanation from Christoph Ridley. South Africa allowed to attack the bloke who's caught the ball, but not the bloke who's thrown the bloke up in the air who's caught the ball.
Interesting, in the early exchanges of South Africa possession, we're starting to see a little bit of the footprint of Tony Brown, the former All Black, on this South African attack movement around Esterhuizen. That's a brilliant take by Fagerson there. That's a penalty.
It's a penalty for taking down the lift and not the jumper. For me, Thomas du Toit has got the jumper there, 2 arms around him. I think that's a rough call, that. In principle, I like the law, but I think he did get jumper then, du Toit.
Ewan Ashman, the Edinburgh hooker, wants a sail. And it was meant for Gilchrist, and it found Gilchrist despite the best efforts of Etzebeth. Rock solid South African defence in midfield, however.
Away now, hands on the ground.
Ben
He
White.
lifted it and he was onside.
Mostert wasn't far away. As Mapimpi, the try scorer, who went up. Blair Kinghorn, haven't mentioned Blair Kinghorn's name yet, but he was aerial there.
Use it.
Having a look. Here's du Toit, Thomas du Toit, the bow-tight head prop.
Use it. Okay, lost.
It's a chaser on Mapimpi, beat Russell to it. And as Smith went down
No
on it,
advantage coming, knock on, scrum blue.
referee playing the advantage for the original knock-on. It'll be a Scotland scrum.
And 2 cases there of the box kick, the power of the box kick now, particularly with the tweaks in the interpretation of the law around the escorts getting back. You see here, this one, Ben White. Now Blair Kinghorn's going to have a free run to be able to take this and challenge Mapimpi. Historically, you might have seen Jaden Hendricks, the scrum half, then box kicking, being able to block. Here Mapimpi gets through, this time Finn Russell underneath it, and we're going to see more of these one-on-ones without this force field of retreating players being able to protect them.
Yeah, and do you know what? There are sort of infinite variables around this, but actually I think it's the right thing to do. It's a better look. It creates a proper contest where the contest had kind of been diluted. Not illegal, but kind of removed. I think it's great. But this is what we all came to see.
15 minutes gone at Murrayfield. The one try so far. Early one for Makazole Mapimpi and South Africa. Tackle made by Esterhuizen. Got to keep your eyes open here, Rory. It's a dangerous place down there.
Use it.
Oh, it sure is. People getting clobbered all over the place. Meaty runs aplenty, but you've got to match the South Africans physically and attack them in that area. Here we go.
Slowing down, obstruction. Number 5 slowing down, obstruction.
Well, that's going to be doubly painful for Andre Pollard because he thinks that he got clobbered in the air as well, but penalty goes against Mostert for being one of those illegal shields that we've talked about.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're going to, the power here, the physicality, everyone talks about physicality. Look at this.
I think have a look at this shot. It's a massive carry from Turpel. Pollard gets up, and I tell you what, at full speed, he gets absolutely smacked. So you wonder what it's like to be a fly half at test level these days. He's been run over, he's stood up, he's been smacked, and he's got to take a high ball.
Watch the action here at Mostert. So the push there. Now, this historically wouldn't be something that would go penalised. On this occasion, the box kick was a good one. Mostert was moving back towards the catcher to Pollard there, and I think it was Jack Dempsey on the chase pushed him, and just highlighting he was between the ball and the tackler, and from there gets given the penalty. Finn Russell cuts the deficit.
Finn Russell's homecoming. First time since the Six Nations rested for the summer tour to the Americas, back in the points gathering business again.
Captain. I've had feedback from the bunker. It is going to be upgraded to a 20-minute red card because it's high danger and drops on the limb.
What else? Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
And Scott Cummings has gone. We wondered about a case of mistaken identity to begin with, but we won't see any more of Scott Cummings as a result of this. The yellow upgraded to the red, so Scotland will be down to 14 for 20 minutes, and then they will be allowed to replace him.
Cummings does The initial hit is Darge on the knee. Cummins does effectively land on Mostert's right leg at an uncomfortable angle.
I see that less as a croc roll, as more of just he's missed the shot and he's ended up his weight's fallen off the side. I don't think he's actually twisted Mostert. I get it. You've got to protect the lower limbs of these players. We've seen a couple of horrendous ones. Rory Darge being one in a club game, but that's a big blow for Scotland.
Esterhuizen. South Africa with a bit more time to try to make the most of that one-man advantage. Lukhanyo, oh, he's lost it, and Jones fires it away. However, back we will come. Who is Scotland going to bring on, do you think? Max Williamson is the second row. They got Josh Bayliss, the back row. What do you...
Do you know, I think you bring Max Williamson on. You've lost a big unit against the most physical team in the world, maybe ever. That's the gravity of what we're talking about. And you've got a big old unit, natural lock, good ball player too, but a big bit of kit on the bench. That's who you bring on.
Well, Max Williamson is Scotland's biggest second row option, and we will see him once the 20 minutes has been played out.
You'll see from the back here, because they're a man down, there's no flanker on the left-hand side. So you would imagine Thomas du Toit on this side, he's speaking to his mate, Elric Lowe, on the open side, on the flank. And so we're going to go for this lot. They're a man down. Pierre Schoeman's got to dig in hard here on the loose head. Just got to get that ball away. Again, it's early.
Oh, the penalty's gone against White for dummying the ball. It looked like an early shove from South Africa, but they had gone on what Ben Lawson was doing, and then that's lost forward by South Africa. We'll get another go.
Don't worry, I'm going to give you the answer. There was good settlement. We had set, we had stop. He presented the ball and then he didn't put it in. He's got to do that. Thank you. Here you go.
It's a horrible one to get told as a 9, because if he puts that ball in and Scotland are in reverse, then you're going to get an absolute hiding from your front rowers. But one of those whereby almost just hold on to it, stay up until that's set piece scrum is set.
But you're Thomas du Toit, you see that ball come down and get presented, it's go time, that's it.
Scotland won't have long here. And they did it as quickly as they could. And Russell to Jones. So come back at them quickly. Leroux to Moody. He's hauled down by Dempsey. And Scotland win it back.
Pulling the ball.
It's Moody, who felt that he was a little bit vulnerable there, so held on to the ball longer than he should have done.
I think what that shows, really good defence from Scotland, but actually I think what it shows is if a game of this quality, if you speculate your way into contact, if you don't go in at full pace with full conviction, you will be found out, you will be ragdolled and you will lose the ball. It's a good intensity from Scotland. Yes, they're under pressure a bit up front because they're a man down. The scrum was a bit ropey, but they got the thing away. Good intensity off the back of that.
Just quickly on this 20-minute red card, let's have an impromptu vote, kind of US election style. Is the 20-minute red card a good idea? I want one word from both of you.
Yep.
Unanimous. A Trump-style election. Landslide win for the 20-minute red card.
I think you rigged it.
Well,
gave us the eyes, had no choice.
I just said what you said, Flats.
Right, big kick for this for Finn Russell. Down that man. This for the lead. Well, Scotland won't be happy with that red graphic in the top left of your screen, but they'll be happy enough with the score. 6-5.
Look, when you think about the offence that's led to this 20-minute red, it's not malicious, it's kind of a little bit of... It's a bit of balance, it's probably a little bit careless, it's completely unintentional, and not that that's got too much to do with it, but you don't want it to effectively write off the game by removing one of the biggest players on the field against the biggest team in the world. So today, I think particularly in theory, it could work particularly well.
We think of Sam Cane in the World Cup final. I know you're all getting up to speed with this 20-minute red card thing. The red card, the old-fashioned red card, will still exist. It's still in Christoph Ridley's pocket, but it's got to be for outright acts of thuggery, and I think we'll know them when we see them. A bit like the old days, the days when Rory and Flats were playing. Mbonambi finding Franco Mostert back involved for the first time since he broke a leg against Ireland in July. Mostert missed the entire rugby championship, which the Springboks won. This is hard work from Mbonambi. Hendrikse to Esterhuizen. He's back as well after his ban. Some new fresh faces reintroducing themselves, but that tackle from Ashman really getting underneath the undercarriage of Etzebeth. Some work for Moody to do. Fluff the first job.
Tell you what, moments like that from players like him, fantastic player Ewan Ashman, mega tackle. Esterhuizen, the carry that led to that ball placement was massive, really big power, momentum was coming. Jebben Etzebeth, the king of Springbok rugby, was steaming onto that ball, something had to be done. What a shot. That's eyes off the ball stuff from Canan Moody, but that was just a little miniature shift in momentum. Very, very important.
Psychological blow as well. I think you know what's coming. Everybody says you know what's coming against the Springboks, but can you stop it on that occasion? Ashman, just the intent. Get off the line, chop around the legs, secondary effort in the leg drive. Darge coming in to help him out, and then from there, Canan Moody just lifts his head, takes his eyes off it, and knocks it on. It's a big statement, and for me, Nick and Dave, this was about Scotland trying to get the crowd into the game, and they've managed to do that just in that one moment.
This is worth another look. Six Nations hooker, by the way, George Turner is heading to Japan to play for the Kobe Steelers, which is why the door's been open for the likes of Ewan Ashman. Concern meantime for Jack Dempsey. Well, we're talking of autumn squads. No Magnus Bradbury, no Hamish Watson, a sign of the quality that Gregor Townsend and Scotland have to select from in terms of the back row these days.
Yeah, undoubtedly. This is a settled looking back row as well. Rory Darge coming through as the youngster in amongst it, but Matt Fagerson edging towards 50 caps. He's really put his foot on the accelerator. Dempsey as well brings a different dynamic.
Fagerson highest. Tuipulotu, a little step, and then Marauds towards halfway. Moody, oh, he did that brilliantly. He was on the move before he caught the ball almost.
You've put in there, play on.
Pollard, again another aerial test coming out of an inky blue Edinburgh sky, and it was the chase from Mapimpi which caused the issues, and then Kinghorn's kick. LaRue, and then the clearing kick from Pollard. Net result, Scottish profit.
You wouldn't be able to tell that Scotland are one player down at the moment, would you? They've certainly had a little purple patch here. This was a great kick by Blair Kinghorn in behind. Just his rugby smarts to know that Finn Russell couldn't quite take that high ball, or was it Hugh Jones there? Hugh Jones, but Blair Kinghorn understanding where's the space. LaRue does well on the coverage, but you just look at the extra effort in that chase.
Ashman wrestling it back, now looking for, well, I hesitate to use the word soft shoulders because they don't exist on South Africans, but softer. White. And Dempsey. Oh, dear me. This time, Quokka Smith with the no entry sign. Here's Grant Gilchrist. First time Scotland with the ball in their hands inside South Africa's 22, taking them till the 27th minute. Maybe a drop goal here. Russell! And
Play on.
on we go. Smith was on it very quickly. Dempsey, Tuipulotu. Jordan. Tom Jordan. No Carl Rowe today. He hurt himself last Saturday. Here's Darge.
Look at that fight through the collision, pre-contact footwork, and then that drive beyond it.
Dempsey. Work over the top from Du Toit. Still Scotland, still Russell, still hope, still threat. It's Jordan again. Ooh, and the clear out, goodness me, from Lukhanyo. This is like Saturday night on Rose Street at around 11:30. It's utter madness. And then Leroux with the kick, and now the chase, and Mapimpi opening the engines, and Russell got back. Kinghorn there, and the roar will tell you that Scotland survived, but for how much longer?
Needed to go out. Pollard on the charge, gets given a free run because none of the players in front of that kick could chase it for Scotland.
Leroux popping up at first receiver, and Moody, oh, he almost got through and wasn't far away.
Look at this breakdown battle. Almost every breakdown, there are bodies piling in everywhere. The physicality is unbelievable. It's off the scale.
Van Staden bent it in, Leroux, and then the kick, and Moody. Oh, it's bounced over Jordan, and Moody was almost on it, but thankfully for Scotland, Van der Merwe was in off the other wing. And the applause for Scotland getting themselves out of a hole. Dempsey.
That's high.
So much work for so little distance, but the importance of the work in these tight confines. Scotland fighting for their lives right now, metaphorically, in defence.
Just momentum going both ways. It's harem scarum. There are mistakes. But we talked about the hit from Ewan Ashman, wresting that momentum. How about that clear out from Lukhanyo? That's not what he's known for. That's not what he's at 13 for in theory. Huge moment, smacking Scotland backward, retaking possession. And a few mad phases later, look where we are. 50-yard gain.
Scotland with 2 minutes left on the 20-minute red card. Oh, and South Africa burgle it. Thomas du Toit, one of the biggest burglars in the world. But the back door was wide open. And Bath's Thomas du Toit has the box second try, and they are back ahead.
The poacher, maybe the biggest poacher in the world game. He finds a way. Yucky drill at the line out. Nothing quite goes right. It's messy. It's got to bounce into somebody's hands. The throw's a bit too early, bit too toppy for Mostert. And Thomas du Toit, Thomas the Tank, finds himself in the right spot. And don't worry about the fact he's 140 kilos. He can shift and he gets up to speed pretty quick.
Well, he scored a bag full of tries for Bath down at the Rec in the English Premiership, but that's his first try for the Springboks in a Test match.
And if this result goes the Springboks' way, it'll have been 50-metre run in that one. The bounce of the ball from that line out.
With 3 seconds left on the 60-second shot clock, half an hour gone. South Africa a little bit more comfortable now, a lead of 6.
There are some things that you can defend against, there are others that you can't. And there, du Toit just got in front of Xander Fagerson. The guys in front of them were involved in the lift, so they were already tied in. So from there, he looked up, there's no one in front of him.
There might be the odd aspirational defensive coach watching that saying, we've got to close those gaps at line-out time. I'm sorry, I think you're right, Laurie. Sometimes it's just a bit of luck for one team, bit of bad luck for the other. Ain't nothing you can do about that.
It is
team messes up their drill, then scores from it.
It is Max Williamson who is coming on. We caught a quick glimpse of him. He'll be on once Scott Cummings' 20-minute red card has expired. And it has expired now, so the next break in play, we will say hello to Max Williamson. And Scotland will be back to 15. Sorry, Rory.
I think South Africa will be relieved to get that break of the ball. They've been scrappy. 5 handling errors so far. They've not looked absolutely solid. Naturally, they may have a little bit of rustiness this first game of their November series, but at the same time, they'll be delighted to have picked up that freebie almost.
There's no attempt to roll away.
What a penalty. It's the 6th penalty that South Africa have conceded in a half that, for the best part, they've had a man advantage.
They haven't, and you wouldn't know. And Quacker Smith penalised. He can't quite believe it. But even if you can't move, even if you're pinned down and you think you're pinned down, look like you're trying.
So here's Williamson,
Guys, what are we doing? Shot goal.
emerging these days as a proper option in the second row. If you caught any of the summer tour to the Americas, you'll have known how well he played.
Yeah, he was tremendous. I think for me, what a moment this is. I've never been 6'8", so I'm not sure what it's like to come into a game facing the challenge. But if there's a team in world rugby you want to measure yourself against as a 6'8"er, the Bok is it. It's about the physicality. It's the scrap in there.
Hey, and they're going mad, the Springbok coaching team. I don't know if they're going mad at the ref or if they're going mad at Quacker Smith, their number 8. But it's absolutely the right call. He might not have been in the way as such, but actually he's not allowed to be there at all, and he didn't try and move.
Oh, the lovely still, the lovely quiet as everyone holds their breath before Russell runs up to strike the ball, and then the applause as it goes between the posts. And Scotland, well, they've been on the back foot, but they've been jabbing away, and they're just 3 points down.
Yeah, undoubtedly. And for anyone just tuning in, there was a red card for Scott Cummings, which was a 20-minute red card. So this law that is in trial at the moment, red card, doubles the time of a yellow card, but you are allowed to replace. So Max Williamson now in the mix, Scotland back to 15, and there'll be a huge amount of belief. There's certainly, you sense the belief in the crowd. Scotland are in this contest. Oh,
Took too long.
Well, again,
I said use it way before, he failed to use it.
Ben White's got timing issues at the moment, Rory, and as a former scrum half, you will understand what's going on here.
yeah, and he's certainly pleading with the referee here, but it's definitely something I've seen in the matches so far this weekend. The pace with which the referees are calling use it at the base, when they call that you get 5 seconds, and now they're policing it that much more. And you know, I heard Ben O'Keefe yesterday at Allianz Stadium talking about it. Here we hear. So he called use it, and then he gets given 5 seconds, and Ben White, that's a frustrating one, but gives a good position for South Africa to launch from, and something that scrum halves are going to be really wary of.
It's White's first test since March, since the Six Nations. It was Ali Price here a week ago. And South Africa with the advantage from that scrum. Hendrickse flying it wide, and Armand Esterhuizen for the first time combining. And the threat, and Pollard hauled to the floor by White. Hendrickse goes the other way. Willie le Roux, oh, that's a little delicate chip over the top, and Mapimpi too easy. Mapimpi has found a lot of room on that left side, and he's got a second try.
That is Springbok rugby in excelsis. It's a monster scrum, brute force. Monster carry through the middle from Esterhuizen. Put it out the back. Bit of magic. This is a team that when it's high functioning, when it's on it, has got it all. And we just saw almost all of it. Fantastic.
Any young footballing back that wants to see a moment of genius, Willie le Roux, absolutely world class there. Mapimpi, look at this here. Mapimpi is nowhere to be seen here. He kicks the ball to where he knows Makazole Mapimpi can get in about 2 seconds, which is about 10 metres. So he kicks the ball into free ground. Makazole Mapimpi is there to capture it. It is a brilliantly scored try, created up front with 2 big, hefty carries, but then off the back of it, when they go back to the blind side, it was Willie le Roux, a moment of genius from the fullback.
Converted by Pollard, the lead's 10. And Willie le Roux, who is 35 now, 2 short of 100 caps, still delivering the goods.
Be careful about dummying your body as well.
And talking of footballers, they'll have enjoyed that.
Super John McGinn and Andy Robertson, how good. Nah, they're smiling, but they'll be gutted inside. They definitely would have been admiring that left peg from le Roux.
Ryan Christie not far away as well. Glasgow actually taking the game against Edinburgh, the pre-Christmas game, to Hampden Park. So rugby will be taking over football's fortress before too long.
Come behind me, please, behind. Thank you. All clear.
5 minutes to half-time. This is the way to spend a Sunday afternoon, isn't it? Goodness me, what else would we do? We'd be half asleep, Flats, after several pounds of roast beef. Instead, we're enjoying all this, watching 30 of them running around.
I'd be taking a break between roasts on a 3-meat Sunday, I would have thought.
4. Make Make sure we're 10, please.
No shortage of prime rib down there on the pitch right now. It is something else. Scotland have found themselves 10 points adrift again, despite some resilience in defence and taking points when they've been on offer. That's gone forwards. They'll have another scrum, which may or may not be good news.
Yeah, I think what we need is a Scotland response here. I think Gregor Townsend will be desperate for that because, you know, 10-point deficit. Ideally, they get themselves into positions to try and score points. Gregor Townsend, just a scratch of the head there. They have definitely had luck go against them for the Dutoy try, but the Boks have made that count.
That's Tony Brown, by the way, South Africa's new attack coach, former All Black 10. New Zealand are often linked with a move back to the All Blacks coaching team, but he's now very much part of South Africa's quest for 3 World Cup wins in a row.
Jerry Flannery, of course, alongside in the coach's box there with Rassie Erasmus as well.
Scotland crumpling, but not fatally. Jones gliding through. Taken by Gilchrist. Fagerson. Soft hands to Schoeman. Russell. Tuipulotu. Oh, this is nice, really nice. Jordan. Oh, he's gone. Room to the right. Options to the left. Scotland in full sail. And the scrum half, Ben White, has Murrayfield on its feet. The world champions stripped apart.
And we've spoken about it. Rugby World Cup, in that pool game, Scotland couldn't score. Here we go, this is it, Tuipulotu, short ball to Jones, straight through the middle. Ball inside to White. Elric Lowe can't chase him down. This is brilliant though, look at this from Tuipulotu. Oh, it's Kinghorn through the middle. Sorry, Jordan, I beg your pardon. Jordan on the short line, telling lies out the back, and Tuipulotu picks the right pass to Jordan through the middle. White doing what all good scrum halves do, getting that secondary touch, and goes in under the sticks. Scotland responds.
Oh, you've got to be kidding me, Christoph. We've already wrapped it up and put a ribbon on it.
Yeah, it's coming now on the screen, Christoph, so here it is.
Checking for a knock-on.
Yep.
Okay, so he drops it, it goes forwards, right tempo?
Yes, it does.
Okay, thank you. So we've got a decision. It's no try because the player drops it and it travels forward. Knock on.
It ain't fair sometimes, Flaps, it ain't fair.
Well, you got to... The locals don't like it, Nick. The locals don't like it. I think a couple of things. I think, firstly, the crowd in the stands at the stadium being able to hear what the referees are saying, I honestly think is a game changer. Yes, just for the people here, but for the atmosphere. So what you're watching in TV is enhanced by the fact that the people here live react to what the referee's saying. And we've got this tech. For so long, this tech was called for, so we could not win or lose games on incorrect decisions. We're now getting the right answers.
All I would add is, I hope it's not too long before we hear the TMO as well,
Yep.
if you're inside the stadium.
Yep.
Hear both sides of the conversation. I don't know whether Tempo, Ian Tempest would agree with that, but I think we should vote Tempo, that's what we say.
We'd have to clean up his language, wouldn't he?
He
That's for
certainly
sure.
would. He'd have to do that, but yeah, maybe one day.
It's an absolute gut punch, but it's the right call. It's an absolutely the right call.
40th minute of a fabulous first 40 minutes here in Edinburgh. Esterhuizen, the obliterator of walls. He is just an incredible athlete.
I mean, you've got this scrum that's just, it's not obliterating the Scottish scrum. It's got them under a lot of pressure. They're winning on points at every engagement at the moment. And then you got this at 12. But he's not just big. He's aggressive. He's light on his feet. Yes, he's massive. But he's confrontational. He's got good feet. So hard to mark.
Well, South Africa messed up the penalty, but they have not messed up too much in this half. They've scored 3 tries, Mapimpi with 2 of them, Thomas the Toy with 1 in the middle. Ben White thought he got one back for Scotland just before the break, and a Scotland side who are down without Scott Cummings, that 22nd red card. Rather upsetting them in the middle of all that, but that was something else. Half-time. Scotland 9, South Africa 90. Autumn Nation Series up here in Scotland, and South Africa beginning to dig early on into their very nearly tons worth of replacements. One of their 7 forwards held in reserve, R.G. Snyman, is on. It looks like it's Franco Mostert who has made way. Rassie Erasmus suggested actually that he might change all 7 forwards at half-time. He's restricted himself to just the one. We are left with the delicious prospect, should he be brave enough, of ending the match with 15 forwards on the pitch, but maybe that's a bit too ambitious even for Rassie. Let's see. That first 40 was fabulous, and Scotland get to play with the toys for the first time in the second half, because ball into the arms of Kinghorn off the knock-on. Nothing came of it, but Scotland will have the first scrum of this second half. David Flatt.
You can underestimate how hard a skill it is actually to take a restart, even when you've got a pod lifting you and the other team haven't, when it's a good kick. But you watch the man in behind. It's his job to cover that if Snyman misses it. So when he goes up, there's always a backup. But Snyman actually, I think, gets a fingertip to it. So Kwagga Smith wears it on the chin. The difficult skill.
It was actually taken in the end by a chasing Tom Jordan, Rory.
Yeah, it's like being a slip catcher 3 yards from the bat, that one, isn't it? It's when you, particularly when you've got a human being who could block out the sun jumping in front of you.
Right then, Scotland with this early attacking threat in the second half. Tuipulotu straightens things up, as he so often does. Goes through the attempted tackle of Esterhuizen. Russell coming back the other way. The ball took a deflection, and that allowed Elric Lowe to come away with some hope, at least for a moment.
Well, a bit like the Billy Leroux crossfield kick we saw to Makazole Mapimpi, when he just kicked it to where he knew Mapimpi would eventually be, even though he wasn't there. The attempted pass from Finn Russell there didn't work out. He didn't know if anyone was there or not. He just knew where someone ought to be, and it was getting lobbed over. So very, very nearly a bit of magic from Finn Russell. Didn't quite come off.
I think they got a little bit lucky there, actually. Finn passing the ball into space to Blair Kinghorn, and he was almost the only Scot in 20 metres there, facing about 5 South Africans ready to eat him up. But as it was, a knock-on, and this is a tremendous position to be able to have a set piece so early in the second half. Chance to strike.
Tom Jordan, the fullback, positioning himself between inside centre Tuipulotu and outside centre Jones. But Scotland will have the penalty. A shake of the head from our try scorer Thomas du Toit in the first half. Looking at the numbers, we've got a whole fruit machine of numbers in front of us here in the commentary box, and so many of the numbers on both sides of the line are similar in terms of line-outs, 1, rucks, 1. Scotland just edging the scrums 1 at the moment, but scrum penalties, dominant tackles, tackles made, tackles missed, carries, meters made, they're all pretty identical. The big difference in that first half was just how utterly clinical South Africa were when they got into Scotland's 22. 4 visits, 3 tries. That so far is the big difference. But because South Africa are conceding more penalties and Russell is kicking like Russell does, the gap has been trimmed back to 7.
I think you're right, Nick. That clinical attack, I think you can coach some of that, and sometimes, Rory, as you'll know, there are players who come along who just seem able to deliver in those moments. Billy Leroux's one of them. Not a massive man, not the quickest fullback in the world, but he's nearly a 100-test player, a couple of World Cups. He just so often gets in those positions and produces precisely what's needed. Can you coach that? Maybe you can coach it to a point.
Well, I think to a point, but he is a bit of an anomaly within this South African side. But he's there. He's nearly 100 caps. He is such a clever footballer. He really is the brains at the back. He's the epicenter of that. And we saw that moment of genius in the first half, kicking the ball into space for Mapimpi to finish it off from.
Low with the catch. Esterhuizen with the drive forwards. Trying to stop a runaway shopping trolley going downhill, isn't it? He's just ridiculous. And then the offload to find Makanyu Hendriksen and Esterhuizen again, and the chip through, a hopeful one. Jordan's there. It's been a dry weekend, so there were no raindrops to help him slide into touch. Scotland have done really well to recycle that back on the blue side. What are you pointing at, David?
I'm pointing at a load of massive South African subs taking their jerseys off. I think about 14 of them are coming on. It looks like a different security firm's turned up to take over at a local nightclub. Shift work.
Okay, way two. Use it, 9.
Scotland with work to do as Evan Etzebeth tried to put the pressure on Ben White. Look at this. It's like a stag party from Pretoria.
A gym in Pretoria.
Vincent Koch, Gerard Steenkamp, Pieter-Steph du Toit. The best part of a ton of pure South African muscle will spend the latter part of this Sunday afternoon hoping to cause mischief and mayhem.
1, 2, 3, 6, 7.
A bench to survive nuclear warfare, I'd say, with that bunch. They are... The first job's going to be line out, and you know what their intent's going to be from this. Makazole Mapimpi in at the front of this line out. They want to get their first drill right.
So here they go. Not so much the bomb squad. Bomb squad times 7. Hendriksen. Oh, and Scotland draw the knock on. And Pierre Schoeman enjoyed it much more than Etzebeth would have wanted him to. And oh, Xander Fagerson came in to underline the fun Scotland were having.
Number 4, put him on the floor.
Yeah, the smiles are Etzebeth, but he'll be under the microscope here.
Back to your own sides, please. Captains. Captains. The behaviour after the whistle isn't acceptable. It has to stop, especially your actions. You threw him on the floor. It's a penalty against you to restart.
Penalty against
Speak to your
you.
team.
By the way, just in case you're wondering who that South African heavy mob came on for in the pack, Eben Etzebeth is the only forward in this match now who started it, so you can draw your own conclusions.
Amazing. And I tell you what, that penalty is a version of a let-off potentially for Scotland. So they're almost celebrating that knock-on at the back of the maul. It all kicks off a little bit. It's all kind of, it's posturing these days, which is good stuff. You can't do that. You can't do that. It's not judo, but the penalty's right. But a very fresh 7 forwards nearly had a big scrum against the Scottish then, and the Scottish have got out of their 22 without having to have one.
Right, Etzebeth got up first. He is such a menace at doing that kind of thing. Pieter-Steph du Toit, player of the match in a World Cup final, drawn off the bench tonight. Oh, well, that's been lost by Snyman, but it wasn't a fatal loss. Fagerson had a look over the top. Here's du Toit. Esterhuizen.
Good work, thank you.
Hendriksen. This is Wiese, Jasper Wiese, once of Leicester, now earning his money in Japan. And du Toit again. Big threats wherever Scottish eyes look.
Look at the physicality around the breakdown again. It's almost like this is something Scotland have waited for, and you see the reaction there.
Just a knock on. It's a good counter-ruck. The Nines ended up dropping the ball.
And this is something that Gregor Townsend and his players would have prepared for all week long. There's a lot of South African fans in here. You heard the excitement that came when they saw the bomb squad on the bench. There, Pierre Schoeman just getting his hand through onto Hendriksen.
What he did was actually push a South African leg back into the ball, or into the hand that was picking up the ball, so he kind of caused the drop by shoving an opposition leg into it. Cheeky, clever, it worked out.
Pierre Schoeman, born in Nelspruit, now Mbomabela. Wikipedia tells us that it's the gateway to the Kruger Park and it's on the Crocodile River. Sounds like a place we should be going soon. But he's up against his countryman right now, shoving for all he's worth, Schoeman.
It's a bold move from Rassie Erasmus, changing.
The game about consistent engagements. Make sure we meet each other over the mark. Here's your mark.
He was saying, you'll have heard him before the match, he was saying that it's as much to do with that short turnaround between here and playing England in London on Saturday as anything. He's got 2 packs worth of forwards and he's effectively giving them all 40 minutes.
Use them, it's great. The only people I ever hear complain about it are the people who don't have those options. He's got the options, so use them.
Until someone gets injured in the final 30 minutes, that could expose them a little bit.
Yeah, no one talks about the risk. Yeah, absolutely.
Stepping back.
And the pressure that's coming onto Scotland's scrum.
Stepping back, number 3.
Conceding another free kick. It was Fagerson who gave ground there. Hendriksen. Yet Sebeth. Sneijman now earning his money across the Irish Sea, playing for Leinster, and that's nicely done. And Esterhuizen finding arm, and Esterhuizen has it back. Oh, he tried the spectacular. Not quite. He's not quite Adam Hastings.
It was on there as well, outside channel.
This is Malcolm Marx. All the threat that he carries as a try scorer. Willie le Roux flings it over the top. It was just over the fingertips of Kinghorn, and as Mapimpi tried to thread that through, Kinghorn made sure that there was no way he was going to chase it.
Just sat back a bit there, didn't they? Andre Pollard and his backs just sat a little bit deeper. Scotland raced off the line, and they just tried to play kind of around the back and out around the outside of them. This was nice. Lacagna arm had to straighten up. It was a bit lateral. Goes between 2 defenders and finds Esterhuizen. If this offloads better, you're right, it's on. If they're not scoring, they're getting close to it. Really nice from Lacagna arm.
That aggressive Scotland defence, Rory, Steve Tandy engineering the defence, and we're seeing Hugh Jones coming up very often to get in the eye line, to be as close to the ball as possible.
Yeah, we see that with most 13s now, is you want to get that line speed, and you almost want to forget about the attackers on the outside. If you can shut the ball down 2 passes away from the ruck, as a 13, you do well. Actually, on that occasion there, Hugh Jones shut the gate, but also Duhan van der Merwe had to react. Went through, and Duhan van der Merwe did a really good job of getting between Lukhanyo and Pieter-Steph du Toit in that outside channel. If he had been able to get that pass away, if Duhan van der Merwe hadn't shut the gate in that gap, it would have been on. South Africa probably would have scored in that right-hand corner. He did brilliantly to defend it.
Incidentally, only Scott Hastings and Jim Rennick, the great Jim Rennick, have played more often in Scotland's midfield now than Hugh Jones. Scott, who came up to say hello to us before kick-off. It's been a very difficult time for the Hastings family, and we send all of them all our love.
As a rule, I mean, it may not happen at this scrum, of course, anything could happen, but South Africa tend to do a bit more damage on their own ball. The opposition are getting more and more adept at getting it in and away, so they often save their energy on opposition ball a bit, or don't have time to crack into them. Here, once that ball is hooked, in inverted commas, that has been hooked, you can apply some pressure.
Only points of the second half so far been a Finn Russell penalty, as tries to change that for South Africa. Forceful drive as he fell forwards. There have been some handling errors from the Springboks in this match, and Scotland and Kinghorn looking to profit. Kinghorn chasing hard. Willie le Roux, the ball stayed very low, and le Roux did well. And then Scotland's players unable to hold their feet, and rather giving South Africa the easy exit.
It's such an unnecessary penalty whenever you see it. The man dives on the ball. Of course, you would do the same. He dives on the ball and takes an extra second getting up to let his mates get back. But you can't jump on him while he's still on the floor. And you're right, it has been messy a couple of times from Jaden Hendriksen. Whether it's all his fault or not, notwithstanding, it's been messy a couple of times at the base of that breakdown, back of the maul. They've let a couple of opportunities go, but you cannot just dive on a down player like that.
10 South African handling errors. Sneijman soaring high. Siya Kolisi, first time since the World Cup in Japan that he's been drawn off a South African bench. That game against Namibia in Toyota. And Jordan beaten to the ball by a flying Moody. Du Toit has it, Pieter-Steph du Toit. Hendrikse. The only back on the bench is Grant Williams, who covers scrum half and wing. Pollard. Oof. Kolisi over his head.
Thinks he's Hugh Jones.
This is Marks, who is happy to think he's Malcolm Marks, because that'll do. Kolisi. This is Steenkamp. The ball's loose head. Sneijman lends the second row. Well, that went backwards, but there's another handling error. Pressure that Scotland's defence are putting on South Africa needs to be recognised as well. Mapimpi and Murrayfield finding its voice again. A little hum of anticipation. Mapimpi into Schoeman.
Brilliant tackle that. Firstly, to be there. Bit of footwork at the end. Did really well to adjust Schoeman. Cracking shot.
Wiese using his way back into the jersey after missing the first half-dozen tests of this year. Remember the red card at the back end of his Leicester career costing him. Willie le Roux on the bounce to Russell. Back to a back-pedalling le Roux who didn't want to take the risk.
That looked like a horrible kick to take or not take, Roy. Did that have a bit of chew on it, a bit of spin?
It was almost a spiral bomb. Yeah, brilliant stuff. George Ford obviously is a big exponent of it, but there it was Finn Russell with the spiral bomb. Willie le Roux normally so comfortable underneath it, but it was moving like a plastic bag in the wind, that one. Albeit there is limited breeze here. The flags are barely moving on the flag pose, but for someone of that quality underneath it not to be able to take it, must have been moving a little bit. But that's another small win for Scotland. They're one-score game, really in this contest. I've noticed the energy levels have almost lifted from everyone since that bench has been emptied. It's like Scotland knew the challenge that was coming. It's almost like Steve Tandy would have been revving the engines. There he is with a hat alongside Gregor Townsend, revving the engines coming into this, saying, boys, when they come on, we match it. We match the energy that they bring, and so far Scotland have been able to do so. And Flash, you would have come off the bench before as well. You don't immediately get into the game with high energy. It takes a while to get the second wind, and there's certainly been some long phases of play to open up the lungs of those players that have come off the bench.
Another 67,000 shoehorned into Murrayfield. Sellout last weekend, sellout this weekend. It'll be a sellout for the Wallabies. Over 50,000 already sold for Portugal next weekend. There's a lot to like about Scottish rugby right now, and they are still very much in this fight against the world champions. Tuipulotu again, just straight and muscular. Oh, and that's lovely. And this is Van der Merwe. Pulled to the floor by Etzebeth. Fagerson, Kolisi tried to rip it away as Fagerson fell to the floor, but it's still Scotland's, and they can put some bricks down just outside the 22. Schoeman. Tuipulotu. Russell! Jordan! Everybody off their seats in front of us in anticipation. Dempsey. It's as close as Scotland have been, the ball in their hand. Gilchrist goes in. Oh, and then it's dropped. And a moment of high excitement ends with Matt Fagerson.
It's Jasper Wiese, relatively fresh off the bench, who flies off the line and gets in Fagerson's eye line then.
Look at this here. Look at this blindside move. This is first phase into the middle. Zander Fagerson, inside ball, but look at this from Eben Etzebeth. Uses every millimetre, just as well he didn't trim his nails this morning, because look at this here. The effort to be able to get back. He's the defender outside the man due to make that tackle. Uses those long, beefy arms to lasso around the legs. from here. Ball just a little bit too far in front to Matt Fagerson. Slippery ball goes to ground. Scotland missed the chance to capitalise, but brilliant attack.
He needed a little bit more tape on his fingertips. An extra roll.
The pass wasn't perfect, but he'd take that 95 times out of 100. But it's Wiese coming at kneecap height at about 30 miles an hour off the mark. Surprisingly, that can distract you.
Down we go again.
South Africa set up very flat here. I'd be surprised if Jasper Wiese wasn't coming off the back of the scrum if it doesn't go for a pen.
You're not chucking it out, Rory, come on.
First. On the set, 3 went on his knee.
David, talk technically about, as you close your beautiful eyes tonight, what is it about that South African scrum that you love so much?
I think there are a few things. I think they're very well coached, so technically they look... I'll come back to you.
Just to see what Tom Jordan does, as Scotland kept the penalty in play. Dage. Russell, we gave that some rip. And Jones, well, Van der Merwe's tall, but Jones knows.
That's the pass. Those are the opportunities. It wasn't a free-for-all. Look at this from Blair Kinghorn. Starts off the field, lands 4 inches infield. Brilliant athleticism to set this up as an attack. Got into the outside channel. Here's the pass from Jones. He goes at the outside shoulder of Moody steps in. And it's Van der Merwe, probably with a one-on-one with Billy le Roux, if that pass is a better one.
Malcolm Marx. A Kubota spear these days. That's gone missing. It's the easiest pass to Etzebeth, but Scotland and White bring it away. Russell thought about the kick and then does go for the kick. It was unconventional, but it worked brilliantly to find Jordan, and now Jones again. Look at him. Oh my God, he's going through the whole of South Africa's midfield defence. White's there quickly again. Murrayfield out of their collective seats, but that was not what they wanted. Here's Dempsey, Ashman, Russell with ball picked off the floor by Fagerson. Oh, the noise around this place right now. Scotland advantage. This is Williamson. Van der Merwe just throwing defenders off. An electricity around this place right now. Russell between his legs. Jordan. Billy le Roux came in. If there was any hint that that was a deliberate, he was making an attempt to gather it, but Scotland still with that threat. Williamson, Tuipulotu took his eye off the ball. Oh, what a thrilling passage of play.
Finn Russell's playing this test match like he's playing touch at the local park, doing exactly what he wants. Crossfield kick passing. Fantastic. The initial break from Ben White, really, really sharp. You're looking for support, not much there.
Oh, the yellow card for Makazole Mapimpi.
What a passage of play that was. The energy in this stadium. Scotland now with the one-man advantage. Best field position set piece of this game. There's Hugh Jones. He started with that ball 25 metres back from there.
Was this the problem? Was it the decision to go right, Laurie? Was that the problem? Just not enough options there.
Oh, and the throw and the catch was not what Scotland needed, despite the best efforts of Williamson. It's the first line out they've lost today, but that'll hurt.
They're your key drills. Got to nail those.
Russell and Scotland come again with Kinghorn. He takes on Vincent Koch. White. Tuipulotu. Oh, and Jordan goes through. If it had given it to White, there might have been a run-in. There might yet be for Jordan. Scotland within 7 metres. Williamson, all of him driving towards the line. Fagerson. White takes his time. Schoeman, what a position for Scotland. They can go left and right. They've got a penalty. South Africa might have more trouble here.
On the line.
South Africa defensively have got to be really careful. They've already lost Mapimpi.
Just a penalty. He's got a head injury, so we need to wait.
Ref, I think we're fresh on the front foot.
Thanks, guys. I've blown it. Yeah,
Scotland changes. Jamie Ritchie and Rory Sutherland, a back rower and a loose head prop. And also Dylan Richardson, we saw there, blonde-haired hooker preparing to come on.
Scotland, unquestionably, as Makazole Mapimpi looks on from the naughty chair, Scotland have gone up a level. They've welcomed this South Africa bench and they've said, let them come. They've fired into them. It's not all going their way, but there's power. Van der Merwe, Hugh Jones, fantastic. Williamson piling in and they're upping the tempo. Quick line-outs, they don't want to settle. They don't want to let the big men get their breath back. They want to run them and make them move. Quick taps if they can get them done. They're absolutely ripping into them.
Well, the decision, Rory, is it's pragmatic. It's not box office right now, but it's pragmatic. It says, let's bag these points that are on offer.
Absolutely, there's the three. As easy a kick as Finn will have all day, Finn Russell, but Scotland have the momentum. I think they sense they've got the upper hand. Everybody had made this huge story around the bomb squad, the 7 forwards on the bench for the Boks, and the impact they were going to have. Well, we've seen it. They've come off the bench, and as Flat says, Scotland have raised the level. They're challenging the Boks. The Boks look the tireder of the two sides at the moment. They need to maintain this momentum with the advantage, though, Scotland. They can't fall off for a second.
A huge roar for Edinburgh's Jamie Ritchie, captain not so long ago, who is he's on. He's amongst that whole posse of Scotland replacements. Dylan Richardson, Rory Sutherland, as we previously advertised as well, also now with us. Numerical illustration of just how good Scotland have been over the last 10 minutes. Into the final quarter. Du Toit. Here goes Khaleesi. Every single name tells you that South Africa have the ability to smother this match, but every time they take it into contact right now, it seems they're losing it.
No doubt at all. I think they're rattled. Scotland have definitely rattled this world champion side. Decisions starting to go Scotland's way. They do have to keep chipping away and building this pressure and try and turn that pressure into points. It is well within one score here, but look here, Max Williamson sticking his head in where it hurts. He knows he's going to get hit by Esterhuizen, he's going to get hit by Malcolm Marx. Like stepping into the way of a runaway train, but he stays in that fight, wins his side a penalty.
This is Dylan Richardson, who plays for the Sharks, the hooker. 10 of his Sharks teammates on the other team. Dempsey. Tui Pelotu. Dempsey and Tui Pelotu, the two men most responsible for Scotland drawing those straight muscular lines, but that's the work of Lukhanyo.
Very, very sharp from Lukhanyo. Actually, it was a nice bit of launch play, wasn't it, from Scotland? Really direct. Dempsey up the middle, looking sharp. They only needed one man to clear it out because South Africa didn't really have time to think about the breakdown. It's exactly the ball they wanted. You get into those wider channels, Rory, against teams this good, everyone can nick the ball off you, everyone can poach it. Good defence.
Yeah, really good defence. Moody has had some really classy touches. There it was in for the tackle. Lukhanyo, tackler dropped at his feet and straight over the top of the Hugh Jones to steal that ball. It's a 40-metre gain from that Pollard penalty as well. Just a little mini moment that reverses that momentum a little bit.
Scotland wins against South Africa, rare and precious. Gregor Townsend knows all about that. Springboks have won the last 8 in a row, including the World Cup pool game in Nice a little over a year ago. As Josh Bayliss, Bath Josh Bayliss, in for Gregor Brown today, gets another go at this level. It's been 14 years since Scotland won. 2010, Dan Park's boot, John Barclay's inspired leadership, edging it 2017, one of only 5 wins. That's why, from a Scottish perspective, we're getting very excited about what they've been doing over the last 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, that was a good day for sure, Nick. I think there won't be any of those names that you mentioned who represented Scotland that day who wouldn't want to see that history turned round. Gregor Townsend, of course, hasn't beaten any of the top 3 in his reign. What a scalp this would be to take. A big job still to go, though.
Going back. Playing the arm in the air.
Well, Moody was beaten to the ball on the floor.
No issue at all, but arm in the air at line.
But there was some interference aerially from Scotland.
Shot call.
And, well, Andre Pollard, as much as he's enjoyed listening to South Africa's new attack coach, Tony Brown, over the last few weeks, he knows where this game is right now. He knows that 3 points could be priceless.
Yeah, proper tight test. The old taking the arm in the air thing, I mean, it's tough, right? Because you want to get up and compete. You're going to have arms swinging for that ball. So you swing for the ball, you miss the ball by an inch. What do you hit? A lot of the time you hit an arm, and you're not allowed to hit an arm. So it's very, very tough. I wouldn't say that necessarily too much was destabilised there. But hey, here we are. Pragmatism rules.
Well, these would be the first points of South Africa's second half, much needed. 15 minutes to go. And the lead is a 7-point one.
Yeah, that's a big bounce back from South Africa. Turnover by get 40 metres from the set piece, get a penalty, 3 points. Just reverse the momentum, get a little bit the scoreboard moving again.
Elliot Miller-Mills on for Xander Fagerson, a bouncing ball claimed by Khaleesi. Hendrickse, still no sign of Grant Williams. And the one remaining replacement unused.
Let go, lads, let go.
Or to say, by the way, having gone down the roll call of those involved in 2010, we didn't mention the captain that day, David. He was an inspirational figure as well. Did you remember who he was?
No idea.
Whatever happened to him?
Let's go.
Is that your favourite moment, Rory?
Untouchable, Nick. Absolutely untouchable. Yeah. Victor Matfield was their captain that day, so...
Well, that's enough. Got a game on there.
No way through for Blair Kinghorn. First test start on the wing for 4 years, by the way, for Kinghorn today. White. Oh, and Fagerson under a lot of pressure. Doing well to get that ball back. Cott provides the green roadblock. Jones. And then Jordan. Again, the step from Jordan. The number of times he's gone beyond that first line of defence today. Gilchrist. Jordan's carried the ball best part of 125 metres as well. He's had some game.
Leave! Both players trapping the ball.
Absolutely responsible for the best bits of Scotland in attack, and there have been a few. Here's Ritchie. Oh, that's again Tuapoloto linking up with Jones, and then Kinghorn looking for some room, but this time it's South Africa's defence. Utterly relentless, remorseless. No way through. Bayliss. Ritchie. Oh, there's loose ball there to be scooped up, and it is brilliantly by Esterhuizen. He's like a ninth forward. And South Africa have it, but how hard they are being made to work right now.
Just wait, 9, wait.
LaRue comes down with a lottery ticket. Tuipulotu got it, hit hard by Khaleesi. And Scotland can go again outside South Africa's 22. Ritchie, Russell, Jones, Jordan once more, this time to van der Merwe. He's got Moody to wrestle with. Less than 30 seconds of Makazole and Mpimp's yellow card. South Africa will be back to a full complement shortly. Clipped over the top, looking for Tuipulotu. He's lost it. Oh. I wonder actually when Mapimpi's yellow has expired whether they bring on Grant Williams. They could station him on the wing.
Yes, they are. No, they're swapping. Grant Williams is on, but he's not on the wing.
I'll be honest, I didn't see you get on the ball. I was too slow.
There he is. So Williams on to replace Jaden Hendrickse, and Scotland changing their scrum half as well, Rory. Jamie Doby, the Glasgow 9, is on. There he is. He's increasingly important to what Franco Smith's Warriors are all about.
Yeah, he's a real live wire. He's effective on the wing, but here he'll get the opportunity to come and bring a bit extra energy, a bit of bite. He's a threat himself. He is pacey. For me, though, he'll need to also have that element of control when needed. He's just going over for a quick chat with Finn Russell. Just make sure he gets his first job right defensively from this set piece. But big opportunity for that young man. You mentioned Tom Jordan earlier on, Nick. I've misidentified him on a few occasions for Hugh Jones. He's got a similar running style. He's very pacey, and that's not something that we always see for him from Glasgow Warriors. You know, he's typically at 10 or 12 for the Warriors. We're seeing him in this outside channel, and he's been devastating. He's been such a threat so far this afternoon.
Yeah, Jordan on his first test start. South Africa looking to re-exert some control. They've got it again from the scrum, which is usually guaranteed. A returning Mapimpi, brought down by Jones. Williams, taken on by Visa. And then a charging Steenekamp. Pollard thought about passing, kicked, and it worked out all right in the end. I think for half a second he worried that he'd overcooked it, but they were playing the advantage, South Africa.
Long one, that, isn't it? Long advantage to come a long way back. I mean, that is 30, 40 metres back. I suppose they have possession, and they'll kick to a similar position on the field, albeit on the near touchline, and they will have the throw-in. So it's worthy. You just think, I think the Scotland forwards have done brilliantly today, by and large. This was nice. Handré Pollard just let the outside backs come up and dinked it in. He knew they had the advantage. Probably a bit too much on it, wanted to keep it in, but you got a forward pack like this Springboks pack, just a little bit of pressure. Scotland have kind of had a moment. They've had a quarter, 15, 20-minute moment. They haven't come out of that with a load of points to match the endeavour. And you have a scrum like that that says, we're just going to put it on you, take the penalty off you, demoralise you, and then take 30 metres off you.
10 minutes to go at the end of another blockbuster Autumn Nation Series weekend. And so far, it has been scripted for Southern Voices. New Zealand in Dublin on Friday night. Australia, Twickenham yesterday. Fiji, Cardiff a little earlier. And now this, South Africa protecting a 7-point lead.
Okay, that's 1-9. Same ball, still the same ball. That's green to floor. Ball is there.
Williams just pops it up for Snyman. Springbok supporters thrilled to see Snyman back. Missed the Rugby Championship with a foot injury. Oh, that's nice from Williams. Cuts through, chased by Willie LaRue, and Jordan. Looks like he's played 100 times at fullback.
Blue boot. Knock on. Off a boot, then a hand. Scrum down.
Well, that might be a costly Scotland error.
What you see now is you see front rowers whacking each other. You've got Dylan Richardson smacking Rory Sutherland on the back. Let's go. They're psyching themselves up. They know they're in a tight spot here, relatively close to their own post. Lovely attacking position for South Africa, and if they do put the squeeze on, the Scottish back row have to stay and push, or they will be obliterated. So they have to stay and push. They have to stay on. Maybe they can't get away.
Tom Jordan's coming off. He's being replaced by Stafford McDowell.
I'm not sure where the knock-on was there. I didn't see the knock-on. I think it came off. I thought it came off at Scotland foot. And did it go into Tom Jordan on the ground? Was that what it was given for? He's had a tremendous afternoon. He really has. First start for Scotland, 11 carries. Look at that, 144 metres made, 4 tackle breaks. An afternoon he can be very proud of. He's taken to international rugby with very smoothly, but this is the biggest threat Scotland have faced for a long time.
Yeah, South Africa can pretty much put the lid on the game here. Pollard standing threateningly behind the scrum, so too Willie le Roux. They've got a penalty. It's gone against Elliot Miller-Mills, recalled this week for his 6th cap. He's not a regular starter for Northampton, David Elliot Miller-Mills. Saints have got Trevor Davison most match days starting.
No, and he's a judge there to effectively laid out. So he doesn't want to get all crumpled up so he can get folded back over himself. So he tries to get long and sort of lock it out almost. But the longer you get, the further your legs are behind you, the fewer studs you've got in the ground. You can slip, you can lose traction, lose grip. I think this workout in the front row for Elliot Miller-Mills would be up there with most workouts in the Gallagher Premiership on a weekly basis. Right up there.
Well, there's no thought of the spectacular finish just yet from the Springboks. They know what this penalty will do. It will take them beyond punching distance, beyond a converted try. South Africa, the world champions, have been slapped around a little bit in this second half, but it says everything about them that they have a 10-point lead this close to the end of the match.
Yeah, they've reacted incredibly strongly. Rassie Erasmus looking a little bit bemused there in the commentary box. He'll be much happier seeing that 10-point gap now. But Scotland know if they get a score, and they're within a score going into the last play. We saw last night at the Allianz. These games now go beyond the 80 minutes. Scotland need to be within distance to be able to shut the gate and shut the game out. And to do that, they need another score. South Africa look just to squeeze the life out of this game now.
Williams high, Kinghorn up, challenging with Mapimpi. Koch running into Ritchie. Oh, and Williams very nearly got away with that. Well, picked up beautifully by Marks on the half volley.
Lock on advantage over. No, over the top.
Bayliss claims innocence.
Stay there, 9, stay.
le Roux looks to the skies. Russell doesn't get there. Snyman did.
Use it.
Marks. Wondering why Rassie Erasmus looked a little bit perplexed, by the way, after that penalty. It was because the instructions apparently coming down from the coach's box were to take the scrum. On the pitch, they took the points. And that's beautifully taken by Moody, Canan Moody. Williams, Koch. Pollard, and then le Roux and Khaleesi. There's Mapimpi, who got the Springboks rolling right at the start of the match. Scored a second before half-time, but since then for both sides it's been a story of penalties. Final 5 minutes of a captivating contest. Here's Pieter-Steph du Toit. Oh, he was wrapped up by Van der Merwe. So as a result, Moody can give it another go. Oh, it's nearly, very nearly Richardson over the ball, but Pollard, le Roux, and then Khaleesi. No. The options that South Africa have, though, with Pollard at fly half and Willie le Roux, who's played there often enough, coming in as his buddy, really. There are threats wherever you look, ball in hand.
Yeah, so often you see that now with the full-back and the fly half, sometimes just becoming that first, second receiver. That was one that was deemed to have gone backwards off blue from Pieter-Steph du Toit, but yeah, I think Willie le Roux, just even in that little bit of play there, we saw Grant Williams with a box kick. Canan Moodie was able to get up there, challenge, win the ball back, and then Willie le Roux went with a high ball into the midfield, and again it was a messy kick receipt, and it just won them 30 metres off the back of it, just with some simple stuff that delivered and executed well.
Throw taken by Gilchrist. Bouncing ball, Dobie had to go down low. Russell. Jones. Second time that Jones and Van der Merwe haven't connected. South Africa aren't bothered. They don't need an inquest. They're looking for a try to finish it. Moodie. Fast feet beyond the 22. Marks. Koch. The way South Africa clear the ball, free the space up over the ball, creating quick attack. Williams. Du Toit. Andre Esterhuizen throwing himself around as well, as he has all game. Wiese. Snyman. South Africa ending this contest, snorting fury. Looking for the score to end the debate. Etzebeth. Held on to grimly by Rory Sutherland. There's an inevitability about all of this as Lekanyuam came in to offer himself. Khaleesi. 5 metres away. Pieter-Steph du Toit. Scotland sensing something, but not just yet, and it's a penalty. Jamie Ritchie for tackling the scrum half.
They took the points last time.
Yeah.
See if they go set piece this time.
You can't just tackle the 9.
They've gone up a notch, haven't they, the box? There was a period, as we mentioned, where Scotland really did raise a level. That was their time. All the momentum, all the aggression, the fierceness was Scottish. It was all there, but they didn't score the points. They didn't score the tries. South Africa weathered that storm. And I tell you what hasn't hurt, of course, there's the big bench, but then one person in particular, Pieter-Steph du Toit, coming off the bench, has got hold of that ball and gone through the Scottish guts about 15 times so far. Just relentless human being.
And the thousands and thousands of South Africans who've enjoyed the hospitality of this wonderful city all weekend, making their voices heard at the end as well. They know that this is done. They know that the world champions have done what world champions so often do. On the back foot for large parts of this second half, but they are going to end this contest in front and on the front foot. Williams into the scrum. Dobie looking to affect it if he can. It's another penalty, but South Africa looking, and Jasper Wiese looking to end it here. Pure, undiluted power from South Africa. Stop them if you can.
And you bang on, Nick, they haven't had it all their own way. They've been on the back foot for periods. They haven't quite looked as comfortable being expansive as they have done in the last little while since Tony Brown arrived and took their attack on a level. They haven't quite looked the full ticket. Doesn't matter. They're winning relatively comfortably in the end. This is brute force. This is 8 guys absolutely on the same page, absolutely together, ripped through Scotland. Elliot Miller-Mills outpowered on the tight head. The whole scrum crumbles. Very, very little you can do about that, I'm afraid, if you ain't got the juice.
And South African supporters who've nicked an anthem from their Irish friends, belting out Zombie around Murrayfield. Pollard for a dozen in the contest. This match underlining, should it have needed underlining, just how tough it is to beat these Springboks. For a while, Scotland got some punches away midway through that Second half, we started to look at the record books, we started to wonder, but we should have known. These world champion South Africans have started their autumn tour winning. Final score at Murrayfield, Scotland 15, South Africa 32.